I just deal with things as they are. I accept them as what they are. And like you said, solving a puzzle. So even a difficult situation, whatever it is, it's like, okay, this is it. What is it that I always ask this question? Why is this happening to me? What is it there for? And what am I going to do with it?
Hello and welcome to the Vibes Podcast with your hosts, Ted and Med.
I'm Med.
And I'm Ted. And today we brought on a special guest who is in the mortgage industry and has been doing big things here in LA. Anna from Anna Care Loans. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Teddy started a real estate show and you're his first guest. So we thought we would also have you on Vibes to share your story and see what you're doing. And I also had a little what would you call it, like a process of someone just starting out.
It's like a real estate for dummies kind of thing,
right, but not for dummies, but for someone that doesn't know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say, for example, most likely someone like me,
a dummy
that has no idea, for example, of the process. And so we'll guide people through it. So whatever natural questions I have to ask, I'm sure other people will be curious as well. So we'll go with that. Is that okay?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first thing, Anna, I want to, I know this because we've talked about this a lot of times. I want the audience to know where you're coming from, who you are. I mean, who is Anna?
From our office just now.
I know, right? I literally just came from my office.
Yeah.
I guess how you started your real estate journey, maybe what led you to begin your career in that route. So.
Well, I'll try to keep it brief. It's pretty interesting. But first of all, I want to say congratulations, guys. I absolutely love it. I saw you guys on Instagram for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, this is so awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'm here. It's exciting. So thank you for that.
Of course.
With that said, I started when I was probably like 18, give or take, 18, 19. Due to certain events in my life, my mom lost her business.
Okay.
So I had to, she had a manufacturing company.
Okay.
And she lost her business, and I ended up, had to work to support our family and help out with my mom and so on. So I ended up being hired at a real estate and mortgage office. They were on Los Feliz. And I started working there as a receptionist. Then I became the office manager, so to speak. And then I started doing cold calls, which I thought it was the best experience that I could ever have.
Of course.
So that's pretty much it. That's how I got into it. And I just fell in love with it. And from then on, it was history. I used to do mortgage and real estate back in the days.
Yeah, you were a real estate agent as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And but it just, I kind of went through it. I started doing it. I fell in love with it. It was something that was coming very natural to me. Dealing with clients and meeting new people is very exciting to me. And my passion was law. I was going to go to law school. So due to certain events in my life, of course, that didn't happen, but I'm still okay with it. I think I'm in a profession where it's similar to being an attorney, so to speak, because you deal with clients, you solve their cases, you solve it. Every single new transaction is like a puzzle for me.
Yeah.
So I get to enjoy that. I cannot repeat the same thing over and over again. I'll kill myself. It has to be different. So that's when it all started, pretty much. So,
okay, and when did you get your loan officer license?
I got out of the business for a couple of years after I got married, and then I just let go, and I was like, I'm sick of it. This was in 2006. I got married in 2006, and I was like, you know what? I'm sick of it. I can't do this anymore. It was right before, give or take, about the crash happening, and because I was literally working from like 6 a.m. until 11 o'clock at night. I'm like newlywed, new family. I can't really do this. It's just going to be impossible. So I concentrated on my family, but then slowly I realized that, oh my God, I miss it, because when I started working at some mitigation offices, they were doing modifications. And then I sell art. I traveled through art shows, which was a lot of fun. And then I was managing a art gallery on Melrose and Robinson, which was fun. But at the end of the day, I missed the mortgage world, not the real estate so much.
Oh.
I think I'll do real estate when I retire or something.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not enough action for me.
Yeah,
But.
no.
So then I was like, you know what, I have to go back to it. I miss it. So I got back into it as a processor because I've been out of it for a while. So I needed to learn what was new and what was happening. And that's another thing about me. If I don't know the ins and outs of it, I'm not touching it. Like, I need to know the whole process. So after about 6 months after that, I said, okay, it's time to go back to it because I couldn't take that 9 to 5 anymore. I've never been the type of person that, you know, I could work for 12, 13, 14, 15 hours a day. But if you tell me you have to sit here from 9 to 5 and you only have an hour lunch or 5 minutes to go to, you know, do whatever, I'll kill myself. So that was that. And then the rest is history, pretty much. We got the new regulations, new licenses, this, that, everything else. So
what,
here.
like about 10, 12 years now that you've been going strong?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, on and off. It's been over like 14, give or take, but on and off, yeah.
Are you still not doing the 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. or your schedule's a little different?
Obviously, I am. It's like, 8:30 and I just got out of the office and I've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning. So you go figure.
Yeah.
But it's different. Did I mention I have 3 kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, not on the
Not on it.
podcast.
Okay. I got 3 kids and
How old are they?
my oldest is soon to be 10. My little Sophie. She's my angel. She's my everything. I love her to death. Miles, my middle one. That guy is a character. And my youngest one, Charlie, he's going to be 1 on the 21st.
Wow, congrats.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So it's very exciting.
So when did you decide that you wanted to start something different, which is what you're doing now, Anna Cara Loans? What inspired you to go your own route and kind of pave your own path into that mortgage industry?
That's something that I gotta say that going back, I've always been the person that is, I like doing things on my way, kind of. You know what I mean? It's not like my way or the highway. It's just like it feels different when I do it certain things my way, so to speak. But it's, since I was a kid, I always asked myself, if you give me a bottle of water, and I'm thinking, okay, if he gives me this bottle of water, like, left hand to my right hand, for example, what if he gave me from his right hand to my left hand? Would that make it easier or faster or quicker? I questioned everything since I was a kid. So, for me, it's like, if you told me, no, you cannot do certain things, my next question was why?
Yeah.
And my middle one, Miles, is like that. He's like, you can't tell him, don't do that. It will ask you why. So it needs to make sense. And I've tried numerous times to work with the companies that I used to work with, to adjust the process, the way loans are being processed, the way clients are being handled. I've tried. God knows we've tried. But I guess it didn't work out. So I was like, you know what? If they don't see it the way I see it, the best thing for me to do is just to go.
And how
on
long
my
ago?
own.
How long would you start your own?
I went on my own pretty much 2018, 17, 2016, end of July.
Okay, so almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years, yeah.
Almost 2
this
years.
summer.
Okay, so I guess one of my biggest questions is someone that starts as a real estate agent or as a real estate loan officer. Is that just a loan officer?
Loan officer.
As a loan officer, I guess when someone wants to buy a home, right? Whether it's for real estate or loans, I guess they're always looking for someone that's like a typical 40, 50-year-old that supposedly knows what they're doing, right? And especially, I'm sure, as a woman, you face like people thinking, oh, maybe a man could do a better job. Would you agree?
That's a very touchy subject. I got to go a little bit like deeper on that, because when I started in the business, I was young. I was a young kid, imagine. And I had to always, people would ask me, how old are you? I always said I'm like 20 something when I was like 19 years old. And I used to always act mature than my age in order for people to actually like build that trust level with me. So that helped me to really read people and understand people. Like body language and everything was very thing for me, because that's the only way I could, feel what they're actually, the vibe that I'm getting from them. So as I got older, of course, as you get more experience in the business and so on, you get more confident. And as being a woman in a male-dominated industry, because it is a male-dominated industry, I personally never put myself in that position for me to look at it, oh my God, I'm a woman and you're a man, and that's why I'm not getting this, or that's why you're not getting this. I never had that. Never had. And then I'm all of, for women and girl power all the way. But there are certain things that if you want the same level of respect, you cannot, ask for a different treatment just because of whatever.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So, but I mean, I'm sure it was definitely a little harder to come.
It was, but I just take it. It is what it is, type of a deal.
Yeah, I think
deal with it.
The stigma here is that men are better negotiators. In certain,
or more bold, maybe.
Probably, and that's the stigma that a lot of people have when they're trying to choose. It's like, oh, should I go with a man to buy this car, or let's say in this case a house, or a woman? And they're like, oh, the man will probably negotiate harder for me, which I disagree completely, because I've dealt with so many realtors that have been women, and they get the more listings. They have the upper hand. They know how to women have other things that men don't have. So I feel like it's you have to use what your strengths are and kind of put all your strengths in that category.
I just feel like 100%. I look at Anna and she looks like someone that's very bold. I'd honestly kind of be scared,
intimidated.
kind of. She'd be very
story of my life.
But I mean that's definitely helpful in your business, right? So you're more bold and get the job done.
Yes, I'm passionate about what I do, and I absolutely love it. And it's not so much of the mortgage world, so to speak, I'm passionate about. It's just I'm passionate about helping people. It gives me a great satisfaction when they come in. They said, oh, they told me they can't do my loan, or they told me I have to have certain dollar amount of income in order for me to get qualified. And I review their tax returns, and I review their income. I'm like, oh no, that's not the case. We can do this, we can do that, blah blah blah, whatever. And the excitement in their eyes and the satisfaction, that's what that's my drive.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then everything else, of course, comes along with it, as far as, everybody needs to get paid for what they do. So when I tell people it's not about the money, they kind of look at me like, who is this psycho? I'm like, look, the money is great because obviously we need to leave. Jesus, I have 3 kids. But, but that's not what's driving me, because when stuff get hard, if you don't love what you're doing, if you're not passionate about, forget it, you're going to quit. Like many people do in our industry, in real estate and in mortgage.
Yeah. I think in the mortgage industry, it's sort of like this, and correct me if I'm wrong. There's a puzzle, obviously, and you have all these different pieces. So a lot of, let's say, other loan officers, they would pick up a puzzle piece and try to see if it fits. It doesn't fit, and they'll put it away. Whereas a good loan officer would pick up that same puzzle piece, say, hey, we have to turn it around this way, and it fits. And I think that's the difference between whether you're a good loan officer or, one that's not as experienced. And I think that all comes from experience, or how your mind is just able to be creative enough to always be like, why didn't it work? Why? What if we did it with the left hand or the right hand, like you were saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes from, obviously, when you were younger, before even your 18, your adolescent years. Were you doing puzzles? What were you doing when you were younger that, or being artistic in a way? I want to know kind of more of young Anna, which I feel like we never talk about.
Young Anna, I know, I personally never talk about it. Young Anna. Girl that was born into family that has an older brother, 5 years older than me. My dad's side, there are 5 kids. I have 4 uncles, including my dad. And then my mom's side, there were 4 kids. All of them had boys. I was the only girl that was born into the family, the first girl. So I was raised tough, but at the same time, they made my life hell, as you know, an Armenian brother.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting. But always been, curious kid, I guess happy kid. I love life till this day. I love people that were much older than me. I love sitting down with my grandma or her friends, or even outside, when you were playing, there were people, older people. I would always go, and it's not just talking to them. I always listen to what they had to say. And it's funny that I was watching a video by Gary Vee, and he was talking about the same exact thing. He's like, I was so drawn to old people, like older people. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting, because you don't realize it. I personally don't realize it, because that was norm for me till today. It's norm for me. I've always been friends with my mom's friends, then her friends' daughters, let's say, for example. It was just a weird, kind of thing for me. But always been a curious kid, always asked questions. I lived with my grandma for about 2.5 years. When my mom came to this country, I lived with my grandma, and my brother was with my dad. And she really kind of shaped me in a way that, who I am, more spiritual, more, aware of what's going on, your feelings, your gut feeling, and all that stuff. So I kind of had that growing up, and that helped me understand and feel people in general.
Right,
so that's, I mean,
yeah. Were you born in Armenia?
Yes.
How old were you when you came here?
I was about 13, give or take, 13 and a half.
See, I was 5, and so I guess mine was a little bit easier, even though I wouldn't say it was easy. As a 13-year-old, when you come here without knowing the language, and people have already formed their groups of friends, and not all of them, but let's just say they have cliques, and you just come in. Like, I remember when I came in, everyone literally hated on me just because, like, who is this guy? He can't speak English. Like, and I was very prideful. So, like, I remember we would play like games, and I would be like, I know how to play this, even though I had no clue, and like I would literally get made fun of and things like that. And as a 5-year-old, over time you get friends. So I'm thinking, as a 13-year-old, where people are more developed, how was it difficult for you in your younger years? Or were you just like, screw you guys?
No, see, with me, that whole word difficult, it's I mean, I honestly, exactly, I don't know how to process that, because I just deal with things as they are. I accept them as what they are. And like you said, solving a puzzle. So even a difficult situation, whatever it is, it's like, okay, this is it. What is it that I always ask this question? Why is this happening to me? What is it there for? And what am I going to do with it? You know what I mean?
Do you tend to blame yourself more than others when something goes wrong?
I'm extremely tough on myself. I'm my worst enemy. I'm extremely tough on myself.
I feel like that's also great strength.
It is great strength, but at times it gets really, really tiring.
Yeah, I bet.
It gets really tiring.
Exhausting.
Yeah. It's exhausting because I'm my worst enemy. I was having a discussion with my friend the other day. I said, she started her own business and so on. I'm like, you have to, always know that you're doing your best at a given time. And if something comes back a year later, 2 years later, 2 months later, day later, somebody tells you, oh, you did this to me, for example, or you didn't do this fairly, deep down in your gut that you did your best at that time. Regardless of what they say, you're not going to feel guilty. Nothing is going to happen to you because you did your best. So I always use that compass kind of to, guide me through it, so to speak. I don't know if it makes sense.
Very interesting, yeah.
As someone that loves their job, would you, if your kids wanted to do what you do, would you?
Oh, that question.
would you guide them into it, or would you say, oh, it's better for you to go become a lawyer or a doctor?
I feel like Miles would be good at it.
Miles will definitely be good at it.
Why didn't it work?
I know, right? I just want them to, if they're passionate as I am. Again, it's not about the mortgage. Like I said, it's about the fact that I'm able to help people. It gives me something, it's like, how when you say you have to, it's a fulfillment. You have to give, something without expecting anything in return. It's the greatest a gift that you could give to yourself. And it gives me so much joy, just that aspect of it. So if they feel as passionate as I am, regardless of what they do, fully for it without any questions. They don't have to be an attorney or a doctor or whatever, No.
What does your husband do?
He is a creative director. He does a lot of branding work. He's a genius in what he does. Let's just put it that way.
Guy.
Yeah.
Very
He's been a creative director for McDonald's, for Southern California McDonald's, for about 15 years, give or take. And he's doing freelance work now. So
nice. So I feel like you guys are on different spectrums. He's more of like the artistic type. You're more of like the quantitative type.
Yes, yeah, you could say that, but it's like it's a little bit of a mix because he's also involved in my business in a way because of the structuring and creating the workflows and so on. Because we've been working on this, blueprint of how to process a loan from start to finish without any hiccups in the middle of it, so everybody is satisfied with the process and it's easy. He helped me out a tremendously amount with that. I also have the artsy side of me, but I don't get to use it as much just because I'm in a world. But I personally look at my files as art because it's something that you create.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I think this is a good segment to do the entire process of finding a home, getting the loan. So I'm sure a lot of people don't want to call up a real estate agent or a loan officer because they might seem stupid, like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So I'll take the heat. I'll be the stupid guy, and we'll go through the process. So let's just say I am a 25-year-old guy and I've saved up about $100,000. Okay, and I think I have a girlfriend and I'm going to get married soon. I want to have kids and I want to have a nice home. So I have $100,000 saved up and I'm ready to go. And I see.
What do you do?
So I'm just looking. I don't know. I'm looking and I see this $500,000 house for sale. Okay, God knows it's not in Glendale, but I find this $500,000 house for sale. What do? I call you, correct?
It doesn't matter. No.
Okay, I'm just saying, you being a real estate agent, any real estate agent, right? I call up a real estate agent, right?
Well, let's get some more backstory on you. What's your employment? I mean, what do you do? Did you just get a lottery ticket and you won 100,000? Or
no, I make about $50,000 a year.
Let's back it up a little. He calls you as a real estate agent, and then we'll get to that. Like, let's not kill the process here, Ted.
You're just killing my hopes and dreams. Right? I just want to ask. So let's just say I say, hey Ted, so I see this house. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And I have about $100,000 to put down. Can you put an offer for 50?
Okay. Well, the first thing that I would kind of tell you to do is what I'll do for you is refer you over to Anna first, so we can get you pre-approved and make sure that you are qualified for a $500,000 home. With then we'll let Anna take over that segment.
Okay, so let me give her a call. Hi, is this Anna?
Yes, it is. How can I help you?
Hi, my real estate agent Teddy just referred me to you, and he said that I have to go through like a loan process. I'm trying to buy this $500,000 home, and I have about $100,000 saved up.
Who's Ted? I'm sorry. No, I'm just joking. No. Well, then my whole process will start. Be more than happy to help you. Have quick, couple of questions I need to ask you as far as what type of an income do you have? Do you get W-2 or 1099?
W-2, about $50,000 I make a year.
Okay. So the down payment that you're looking at to put will be $50,000
or $100,000 I've saved up.
Okay, so because you just said $500,000, you want to purchase it for $450,000 loan.
And then put so I can put $50,000.
You're playing numbers with me. You gotta,
I could put $50,000 down. That'd be better.
You want to put your entire life saving? I know.
Okay, let's do $50,000.
Okay,
that'd be better. I'd have $50,000 in the savings.
Okay, so that's something that we can discuss when you come into the office, because I personally would. I do is it's a numbers game. We need to play around with the numbers and see if it's worth for you to put 100,000 or 50,000. The payments might not be big of a difference, so you have to make that decision.
Okay.
Based on that, and then once you come in, we'll pull your credit score. We'll know what your credit is, and you'll be fully, approved versus pre-approved versus pre-qualified. Because if we just talk over the phone, if you just give me numbers like this, and I tell you, based on whatever you're telling me, you could be pre-qualified. That doesn't mean that you are approved.
Got it. So pre-qualified is different than actually being approved.
Pre-approved is different, yes.
And how long does pre-approval take?
Pre-approval takes anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour at my office.
And what does that mean? You're the one signing off, or you have to call someone like a bank?
I'm the one that is signing off because I'm the one who's structuring. While you're sitting in my office, as I'm going through your papers and so on, we're structuring your whole deal. And we're going over numbers.
Are you technically responsible for example, if you pre-approve someone that shouldn't be pre-approved, right? And I get that pre-approval. What happens if like you miscalculated or you gave someone an incorrect deal? Does someone come after you and say, hey, Anna, why'd you give this guy the pre-approval when he didn't deserve it?
Well, it's my job, so to speak, my responsibility when that person comes into my office, that I fully, thoroughly knowing what underwriting is going to request for, what documentations they're going to request for. It's my full responsibility to review everything, make sure everything is correct. And if I'm missing anything, I'm not going to issue a pre-approval until I see that.
Mm-hmm. And what type of papers do you need? Just my W-2?
Just your tax returns. If you're W-2, I need your pay stub. If you're self-employed, depending on if you have a corporation, business tax returns, or your individual tax returns, business tax returns. If you own properties, it's just basic like mortgage statement, insurance declaration page, and 2 months bank statements. If there's any large deposits, I need sourcing, where they came from. You know what I mean? It's something that I know it sounds a lot as we're talking about it, but when you actually like look at it, it's not much.
And can you pre-approve on the phone, or do I have to come in?
I can pre-approve you on the phone. I'll send you. No, you don't have to fax it. That's where our magical Anna Care Loan app comes in. We could set you up. I could send you a link to a 1003 loan application. You just complete it. It directly comes to my, I have a dashboard that comes into, and then I could request the items that I need from you. You could upload it into the system. I could review it and get back to you and say, hey, we could do this, we could do that. I have, I have closed transactions in different states that I don't even see the borrower. So
perfect.
It's completely doable. Yeah.
Okay. I think the other, not to overwhelm everyone, but the big problem here is like, okay, if you're making, let's say, so to speak, $5,000 a month from your job, but if you have like $4,000 in expenses, so that doesn't mean that you're making it's not gonna happen. No. So
when you say expenses, do you mean like groceries, or are you talking about business expenses?
Like if you have a car payment,
credit cards, whatever's on your credit showing up on your credit,
but
so to speak.
How would you know?
I pull your credit.
But
if I don't pull your credit, I'm not going to issue a pre-approval.
But aren't you pulling my credit score technically?
But it's your credit history as well. That includes your credit score.
If I'm paying them off, my credit score is still great.
Yeah, but if you have debt, monthly payments, like Ted said, if you have, if you make $5,000 a month and you have, $4,000, in monthly installment payments that you make your car payment.
But I pay them every month.
Yeah, but that's an expense.
I know, but I'm saying, how do you see that? Because you're only seeing my credit score at me having no debt. Because every month it shows your report.
It shows on your report. It doesn't. It's not a 30-day cycle that every 30 days it shows up on your credit. No, it's not. Sometimes it takes like 60 days, 90 days. It depends. And then if you pay off stuff that are showing off, it shows a balance on your credit, and if it's paid off already, you could say, hey Anna, that credit card is paid off. I have a zero balance statement, and then I could omit that from your debt.
Okay.
Car payments, if we're talking about it, let me just put it out there. Yeah. Car payments, it could be under your name, but if you show that somebody else has been paying for it for the last 12 months, it could be omitted off of your name. Because, in our Armenian community,
some people
every other person has like 5 cars under their credit. So, I always tell them, make sure whoever is actually purchasing that car, make sure they're responsible. They're the ones who are paying from their account, because I could omit that debt.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, that includes student loans, credit cards, anything.
So let's just say I have a clean like $3,000 coming in a month, and you pre-approve me. So I get off the phone with you and I call Ted back. Hey Ted, thanks for the hookup with Anna Care loans. She gave me a pre-approval. What's next?
So with that pre-approval, basically it would tell me exactly that you're pre-approved to purchase a home at this value.
So you're confident and you're gonna go find me this home.
Yeah. So exactly. I know that Anna will be able to get you approved with a lender at this amount. So which, let's say it's the $500,000 mark. At that point, you already know that your rate from the bank or from the lender, what it's going to be. Let's say if it's 4.75 interest, and you're paying, let's say if you put a lower down, there's all these, PMI, there's all these things.
Yeah,
you already
all the
know.
Options. Yeah,
there's so many different. So you already went through the numbers game. You guys figured out what exactly works for you. Your payment. Let's say if you're making $3,000 a month, and your payments become, let's say, $1,500 or $2,000 a month. You're okay with that. And then you come to me and you say, hey, listen, I got pre-approved. Here's my letter with Anna $500,000. Then we go and we find you a home.
So the pre-approval basically just says, okay, he's okay for a $500,000 house.
It says $500,000, this much down payment, this much loan amount, and it gives you the, that it also states that this the income documentations, credit score, and everything else has been verified for this particular borrower, and they're been pre-approved for this dollar amount. And that pre-approval letter, when you guys find a house, it gets submitted with the offer.
What if it's a $515,000 house?
Then Ted will call me, and then you will call me. We'll do the numbers again. If it works out for you, and if you're qualified, we'll reissue another.
Maybe if you put more down, maybe if you do
whatever.
Something.
And the pre-approval is sent with the offer.
So when you're sending an offer, now this is the other section where, let's say we find you the home now. It's $500,000, and you have a pre-approval at, let's say, 500, or your pre-approval is at 515, whatever the amount, as long as it's the offer price that we're writing. So if we'll send it over with the offer to basically give ease of mind to the seller that, hey, listen, this guy is pre-approved and he will be able to commit to this offer, so that it's not like you're just giving a bogus offer with them accepting it, and then, because it's a whole process, it's 30-day escrow, and then if they want to cancel escrow, there's a deposit that you have to give back.
Hold up, I don't know these terms. I'm a dummy right now, right?
Okay.
So you're basically sending in with the offer, correct?
So we send in the offer with your pre-approval.
Okay, and then let's just say he comes back and says, okay, it accepts.
Okay. Typically a lot of the offers, they'll ask for EMD, which is like an earnest money deposit.
What percent is that?
That's about 3% of your purchase price.
Okay.
So you'll attach a check in the offer, we'll scan and we'll send it over. It shows that you have the deposit ready to go, you're already pre-approved, and this is your offer with all the terms that we come about. So your terms could be a whole bunch of things. On the terms, like on the financing section, whatever you and Anna agreed upon, that's what I'll put in the offer. Everything else, let's say if you want to do an inspection, appraisal, if you want to waive those because you're confident that it's fine, any way to strengthen your offer, there's a couple of things that we can do or that I can do to help strengthen your case. And I'll tell you, hey, it's better if we do this, based on me speaking to the seller or speaking to the listing broker and saying, listen, this is what they want, let's work with them. So it's a whole, like, this is the negotiating.
I'm just keeping it basic for me. I know you're going to be talking to the agent. I just want to be watching TV.
We send it over, and then I say, hey, Medvin, I sent over the offer. We should be getting a response in 2 days.
Okay. 2 days later comes, hey, Teddy, tell your client, blah, blah, blah. It's accepted.
Okay.
So what's next?
So now that they accepted the offer, the first thing that we would do is we want to open escrow. So
what's an escrow?
So escrow is basically it's a process where this whole transaction between the seller and the buyer is kind of confirmed by a third party, whether it's the title, whether it's your financing, whether it's just even my check being paid. It's all through a third party, just so it's kind of delegated even better. And they call that an escrow office. So that 3%, that deposit, will go into the escrow office.
So they're holding the money. They're not giving it to the seller.
Yeah, they're holding the money. All the money is going to be there. Even when your loan gets approved, the money will be in that trust account, which then, once everything is fully finalized and the title and the deed has all been sent over, that's when you will then, that's when they'll get paid, and that's when you'll get the keys.
And during this escrow period there's also the inspection period inside the escrow period.
Yes.
What happens during the inspection period? All I know is the house looks nice.
So when we do the offer, you'll write, let's say, a 14-day inspection period. If you have a 30-day escrow, which is typically 35 is what you'll put for an escrow period. We'll put, let's say, a 14-day inspection period. So that gives you 2 weeks to go in and inspect, do all your due diligence, to do a termite report, whatever you want to do. Bring an inspector, let him check the basement, let him check the studs, let him check everything on the house, just so you're completely aware of what you're buying. That's all up to you. You can waive that if you want, but having that is kind of like a safety net for you, because one, it saves you for your deposit. Let's say you go into inspection and then your inspector comes and says, listen, man, this house, it has structural damage, it's going to cost you, let's say, $100,000 to fix it because the house is crooked sitting like this. Right. So you get that report and you send it to the seller, the listing broker, and you say, listen, my inspector just came. He said it's this. I have to cancel the escrow and we can't go through with this. Or can we
still stay in escrow and I say you got to take $100,000 off the price?
You can negotiate. That's where negotiating comes in.
But we're still in escrow.
We're still in escrow. So in that 2-week period is when you have to do all of that, your due diligence.
Okay. And in escrow, is that also when the financing happens?
Yes.
So you're going to, but how come I've heard, for example, oh my God, my loan took 2 months. What's going on with that? If it's a 30-day escrow, what causes that?
Situations like this, there's structural damage now, and it needs to be taken care of before a lender lends you that money for a home that has structural damage, for example. So like you have to kind of take care of those issues, or sometimes your paperwork, you're waiting for you to get paid on the 31st because that's what the underwriter wants. So
the financing doesn't start until the inspection's done?
No. Let's back it up a little. The minute escrow gets opened, what Ted does, he gives me a call and says, Anna, the offer was accepted, or he doesn't even need to call me. He could just shoot me an email and say, hey guys, the offer was accepted. Here's the offer and here's escrow information. Okay. So from that point on, we take over. Immediately, everything gets set up. As a borrower, you already have access to our AKL app. As a realtor, you guys are connected on the AKL app because you guys could communicate through that as well. All of us can. Okay. And immediately you get status updates. We request our lender package from escrow within 24 hours of when we receive the acceptance. And once we get the lender package in a meaning of escrow instructions, your EMD gets wired there, the earnest money deposit, they send us the receipt, title report, and all the other stuff that comes along with it. And we get the lender package. We start working while you guys are doing your inspections and all that stuff. We work on the file, disclosing the file, requesting any updated stuff, because I might have approved you, let's say 20 days ago. You know what I mean? And then you're in escrow. I know for a fact after like 10 days, I'm going to be needing your most recent pay stubs or bank statements. You know what I mean? So you'll get an updated list of items that we need in order for us to proceed with the transaction. And then we'll go ahead and, disclose the file with estimated fees that we receive from escrow. And once it's disclosed, everything is electronically done. Disclosing means like just regular disclosures that has to do with the trade and RESP and all that stuff, rules and regulations in the mortgage industry. And you review them, you e-sign them, intent to proceed is e-signed. Then as soon as the intent to proceed is e-signed, we go ahead and order appraisal. Okay? So while you're doing your inspection, we order appraisal within the first week. And then they will call the listing agent to schedule the appointment, and we will notify you guys when it's scheduled, at what time and date. And then if, the buyer's agent wants to be available at the time of the appraisal, the borrower can also be there as well, however you guys decide to do. And from that point on, you guys are doing your inspections. Maybe, let's say you guys come back and say, hey, it has a structural damage, Anna, we're canceling escrow. You know what I mean? But it's a third party. The appraisal company is a third party. So you're about $500 you're going to lose because they need to get paid. You know what I mean? It's paid outside of escrow. You don't pay appraisal fee through escrow. So then that escrow is canceled pretty much. You get your deposit back.
The appraisal fee?
The buyer. You do. Buyer does. Yeah. Buyer pays for the appraisal.
Okay.
Yeah. So what an appraisal is, for people who don't know, is another third party will come, inspect the property, and based on recent comps and what's sold in that same market, they'll say, hey, listen, this house is worth, based on their opinion, let's say $500,000. And then that's what Anna will need to show the lender that, hey, this home is worth what it is, in case if you ever have to default on the mortgage, that they will be able to sell that home based on whatever the price. They're more comfortable kind of.
Yeah, of course. It just gives them a value, and it also gives them pictures of the property inside and outside, make sure it's in a good condition.
What happens if you appraise, if you give me a $500,000 loan, the house is $400,000, let's say, whatever. It's a $500,000 house. They appraise it for $450,000. Now what? They're not going to give me the $500,000?
No,
you have to pay the difference in cash.
Or negotiate with the seller to reduce the purchase price.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And say, hey, listen.
No.
No.
You have to say, for example, there has been situations like that where I've dealt with where the appraisal came in lower than the purchase price, and based on that, we were able to negotiate a price lower to whatever the appraisal was, or to whatever we were comfortable enough with paying
extra.
because that's what, for example, the market demanded at that moment. Whether if you love the property or like you thought that you see that it has a future and you want to like snag it, there's 10 other offers that are all above the appraisal price, so there's always that comes into it. And
can I make a comment while we're there, please? For, like, whoever's watching and it's their first time buyers and they're new to the whole process, please get a buyer's agent. Don't go with the listing agent, and don't go to every single open house and talk to the listing agent, because you heard whatever he just said. Okay. Right? And whatever he's summing up, like putting it into a couple of minutes, that's like weeks of work and years of experience in order for you to be able to get the best for your client. They're listing agents in general. If you see, there's like agents who always list, and then there's agents who are buyers agents that love showing properties to the buyers majority of the time. I mean, if you ask me how I look at it, is if you're a listing agent, you need to be a listing agent. If you're a buyer's agent, you need to be a buyer's agent. It's like we do loans, we do real estate, we do sell insurance, and we drive Uber over the weekends. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So always get a buyer agent that is actually representing you. Don't go to the seller, because guess what? The guy listed the property, right? Okay. His first best interest is for his seller.
Why though? If I find him double broker, he's gonna get more commission. He's probably gonna give me an awesome deal.
No. Why is he going to get more commission if your property doesn't appraise to whatever he's selling it? If he sells you for $50,000 less, there goes his commission.
No, because now he's getting 5%.
No, it's cannot be. Usually, it's not 5%.
No,
but usually when they make a contract, and I'm pretty sure Ted could answer this much better than I do. But usually, when they make a contract, if they're representing both sides, it's dual, a buyer and seller, dual agency, then their commission is like 3.5, whatever.
Yeah, sometimes usually. 3, sometimes 3.5, 4. Yeah. You'll get lucky if you get 5, but even in that sense,
you're still not gonna get whatever your specific buyer's agent is gonna do for you.
It's as simple as this. If I have a property that I'm selling, and let's say my parents want to sell their house, right, and I'm the agent to sell their house for them, I'm obviously in the best interest for my sellers to get the maximum amount that I can. And if you come to me and you say, hey Ted, listen, I don't have an agent, can you also represent me? What am I supposed to tell you? I know that they want, let's say, 1 million. And what am I supposed to tell you? Hey, man, they want 1 million. If you're okay with that, sure. But it's kind of difficult to kind of
play both sides.
Morally and like ethically speaking, it just kind of doesn't work out unless like the person that there's some benefit to that.
There's some bias.
There's some bias always.
Yeah, always.
I'll always be more biased to my family or my parents. You never know who the seller is. You never know how many deals that this person has done with this person, who this person is. So just in order for you to save like 10, 20,000, which is gonna go in your mortgage payment anyway, which is what, $50 a month here and there.
Yeah.
It's better to play it safe, because sometimes you might end up paying more for what it's actually worth.
And then the inspections come in and play as well. It's extremely important. I really want to talk about this because it is important. I do have I've done real estate too, and I care about my clients. So what ends up happening is literally I'm playing the real estate agent and the loan officer during the transaction if they go with the listing agent. Because they're like, oh, your contingencies are up, you need to remove them. I'm like, did you do this? Did you do that? Yeah. Did you look at this? Did you look at that? Are they doing a proper inspection? Did you inspect the chimney? Did you do that? There's so many detail, stuff that goes into it, that it's extremely, extremely important to actually, work with not only your agent, but also with a professional.
And especially
just because somebody has a license doesn't make him a professional.
Especially with all this e-signing coming about, it's so easy for you to sometimes blind sign things without really realizing what you're signing. So if you are going with, again, both sides, where he's representing both sides, he'll say, yeah, just signed it. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's normal. Trust me. It's fine. It's fine. And then you'll sign it and he'll say, well, your inspection continues it up. I'm sorry. Yeah, we can't. You have to still commit to this property or you lose your deposit. So it's a tricky kind of
Got it. Well, listen,
situation.
I got a much better understanding. I feel like me buying my home, I'll definitely be able to know what I'm doing. Come to the right people. But with that said, I don't want to make this too long. But if they want to find more information, or if they want to get a loan or things like that, where can they find you? I'm sure we'll put it in the description as well, but if you could just verbally
they could go to my website, annacaraloans.com, and also our Instagram page, Anna Cara Loans, and of course Facebook, Anna Cara Loans as well.
Perfect. Okay.
And guys, me and Anna have are doing this new series on a separate kind of channel now that's specifically real estate, because we don't want to go too in depth into all of this on here. You can catch us there. It's on the same YouTube channel, just Teddy Arakelian. And that's when we'll kind of break down every single section like we just did right now per buyer. So let's say if this situation, this scenario, it was a 25-year-old guy, has 100,000 savings, and he wants to buy a house that's 500,000. We will go so much more in depth in different scenarios. So for example, if you're a self-employed married man, self-employed single man, at your age 50, 60, your income is $1 million, your income is this. There's so many different kind of things that
I mean, the scenarios are unlimited because
and honestly, just to be educated in this whole process, because there is it's one of the biggest, I mean, it is the biggest purchase of your life you're going to make. And it's always best to be educated and be as transparent about this whole process as possible. And Anna that's her motive right now, and her app shows that. And definitely go and follow Anna and keep up with her, and if that day comes when you do want to purchase a home, or and you need someone in the mortgage industry to take care of your file, I mean, definitely just you should hit up Anna, because she will finish that puzzle. She'll definitely finish that puzzle for you, and I don't think that I have no doubt in that. But again, thank you so much for coming on, and from the Vibes guys and Anna,
thank you for having me.
Of course.
Pleasure.
Peace.
Peace.